Well, that event took place over the weekend where we found defense ministers within the African region are coming together to collaborate to see how they can stem the tide of terrorism and violent extremism within the continent. That was very significant to what we'll be discussing today on the show. And last week we had this report that the leaders of terrorist group Islamic State was trying to sneak battle-hardened jihadis from Syria into Nigeria to train terrorists for possible attacks in Britain, and we did see a high alert at our borders and especially airports. And to discuss this recent development on the show with us today, as usual, is our security expert Onyekachi joining us, Onyekachi Adekoya, who joins us, security expert with a wealth of knowledge on these issues. Thank you very much, Onyekachi, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers. Always a pleasure being here. Good morning.
You know why I stutter each time I call your first name? I always expect it to end with an Igbo name. And then you
have the Yoruba part.
I recall. But it's great to have you, Onyekachi. Now, we can't stop talking about security. It seems security has become very, very big business now.
Yeah.
The big talk.
Yeah.
It's you cannot talk about any other thing. You can't talk about development. You can't talk about growth. You can't talk about, you know, anything that is positive without dealing with security as well, making sure that you're on point when it comes to security.
Yeah.
And now we have a present threat, which is a global threat. And there was a time that Nigeria was exempted. We enjoyed, that haven of being, a third world country, and we don't have issues. That was the advanced nations that had the issues of terrorism. But now the hen has come to roost. It was, alarming to hear that ISIS has become a threat, to Nigeria as well.
Well, it's always interesting when we read in the papers and see on TV certain reports that goes contrary to the core of our society as Nigerians. Terrorism is foreign to us and will remain foreign to us. Remember that Nigeria is a non-aligned state.
Okay.
We are not aligned basically to any of the power plays. That's why you find a country like Nigeria having a direct exchange with China. Okay. Exchanging 15 billion naira with the Chinese rupees or so. And then you also then have Nigeria doing business with America, doing business with India, everybody. So we are not aligned, basically. I like to maintain that fact. And because we are not aligned, we are somewhat really not, there's no much interest in Nigeria. To even attack Nigeria, you won't get much. Say for if you attack a UN building, that's when you only get some notoriety. If you attack some American installations in Nigeria, yes, you get some notice. If you attack some UK, European interests in Nigeria, you get some notice. But when you ask yourself critically, what would the terrorists benefit from attacking Nigeria specifically?
That's a good question.
There's basically not much for them to gain, because when a terrorist wants to attack, they have their own analysis and assessment that they do. They look at the impact, criticality, and the mileage they will get. You won't get so much mileage from Nigeria, that's the truth. Terrorism in Nigeria is imported. I dare say, with every due respect, that it's imported.
How do you mean?
Somebody somewhere went to import terrorism.
Okay, this is getting very interesting, yes. And good to hear that, yes, our phone lines are now working. You can call in, actually join in discussion. Let's hear your mind, bear your mind down on this very, very critical issue that we're talking about. Is ISIS sneaking jihadists into Nigeria, and of what importance, or what should be our mindset now? Onyekachi, please go ahead. You're saying that terrorism is important.
That's a very strong word.
It's foreign to us, and it will remain foreign to us. But security costs money, and there will be defense contracts, there will be money to be spent, items to be procured. There's a war industry that is gradually growing in Nigeria. That in itself is the biggest threat, not ISIS. Once upon a time, the military had their way in power, and they had their way to the pockets of Nigerians. Now you have an industry evolving gradually. Equipment being purchased massive contracts.
What industry are involving?
A war industry.
The military.
A military complex and war industry.
Armament.
Yes, arms sales. It's big business. We are busy procuring aircrafts and buying. I'm not saying we don't need them. The police on the street should be using service pistols, not AK-47s. It would not cost us as much as, with 5 billion naira, you can stop seeing all these policemen carrying AK-47s. You can buy them proper service pistols. Keep the policemen, get them ready for community engagement, state policing, and all this bottom-up approach.
The way they are how do you call it? They are equipped. They are waiting. They are expecting a war to happen. The way the police are carrying.
They are not. There is no clear-cut strategy to policing Nigeria properly. And even if we say the budget is a policy document that shows where government is intended to go, in terms of government spend on security, you will see that there's heavy spend on militarization, which is the biggest problem. So let's even say, for instance, I come and announce that ISIS is coming into Nigeria. Alarm bells begin to ring.
Okay.
What will follow that is that you need to be prepared.
All right.
For you to be prepared, you need to spend.
Automatically.
You need to spend. Now, I maintain again, Nigeria is a non-aligned state and terrorism is completely foreign to us. But yes, I hear you say when you say the chicken has come on to roost, because some people imported terrorism. ISIS is not the greatest problem to Nigerians. As we speak today, 120 people were killed in Plateau.
Exactly. We talked about that, and that is really unacceptable.
Cultism and violent crimes is raging in Cross River.
We have militancy it's in the sleeper mode.
Now it's waking up because the militants are getting agitated. 2019 election is coming up. Their interest here and here to pacify. So it's in Nigerian politics, whoever makes the loudest noise gets the best settlement. So you're hearing militant groups saying we're going back to the creeks. Armed violence is increasing. Plateau was sleeping before. Benue is there.
Ethnic violence. I mean, look at
Kaduna, for instance. Now, look at Kaduna. There was massive killings in Kaduna. There was a breakdown of law and order in Kaduna. The Shiites and reported Shiites and the police, where 2 policemen were killed. So you have the Zamfara state. Yeah. The governor of Zamfara has said he has resigned as CSO.
So what's the implication of that?
The implication of that is that anarchy, people are calling for complete breakdown of law and order. And it is coming. It's somewhat incipient. It's coming gradually. There has to be a clear and a systematic way to address this issue. Number one, every issues of criminality must be dealt with as such.
They must be nipped in the bud,
yeah. Political pandering or political gesturing. Violent crime is violent crime. Deal, prosecute, jail. Even if it's your brother, your mother, your sister, deal with the issues of criminality as criminality. Don't connote it with religion or anything. Number one, that's number two. That's number one. Number two, let's have a clear-cut strategy to empower the community chiefs. Once upon a time in Nigeria, if you come into a state, you're a foreigner, you come into a community,
you must first
you come and identify yourself to the local chief. You see? And in a way, back in the days, our villages were safe. Because you didn't want to go and commit something, they will know you are the son of so and so from so and so house. Everybody knew everybody. But when the British came, they broke down the traditional structures so that they can break the will of the people and foster a new government. So everything we held strong as a people, they broke it down first, and they brought in their own system of government. And the implication is that at the community level, there's no more that there's no power at the community level.
Okay.
So are we prepared for all of this looming crisis?
Let me come in. We'll talk about this powerlessness that Nyekachi is talking about at the grassroots level. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue where we left off. Don't go away.
Now on Star Times channel 465 is your #1 Christian and lifestyle channel, Love World Plus. meeting all your entertainment needs. Trending, dedications, joyride, celebrity lounge, video tales, and so much more. For those of you who love current affairs, we've got you covered. News focus, strictly politics, the agenda, u.gov, and so on. Be sure to always be in the know with our informative programs, as we also get you settled with amazing documentaries like A Day in Your Neighborhood, Discover Africa. These will blow your mind. The youths and kids are not left out, as we have created a platform for them to speak, learn, and have fun. And to crown it all, we serve fresh, hot, and sizzling foods to feed your spirit, soul, and body. That is Pastor's programs. There's never a dull moment with us. So make it a date on Channel 465 as we take you on a smooth journey to cater to all your needs. Love with Plus, Channel 465 on Star Times.
Hello, I'm the new C-Flips. My creators call me 2.0 because I recently got the makeover my fans have been waiting for. This has got them going, wow, cool, because now they can do this and do that and do that one. Oh yes, that one too. I'm much more powerful. This means you can do this and try to beat that. Moving through my sections and finding things are no longer a puzzle. Because you love being social, I was built to help you connect with others. So now, you can follow him as she follows you. Watching videos is definitely an experience you'd love. You can do this while you watch. A teen's program doesn't feel like a teen's program anymore. Proud of your teens, I'm sure.
Sure.
My fans now say that with me, you can achieve anything. So yeah, everything has changed.
Okay, welcome back. We did take a quick break and we are back talking about the security concerns in this part of the world, Nigeria. And we've seen so many disturbing events talking about clashes and ethnic, clashes happening in different parts of the country. And our guest on the show, Nyekachi Adekoya, a security expert, talking about the report saying ISIS is trying to sneak jihadists into Nigeria, saying that that is not our major concern. If you want to say
no, absolutely. Okay, as the report goes,
yes,
that they want to go through Nigeria to the UK.
Okay.
As I said earlier, Nigeria doesn't give you much interest because we are not a major actor in any space. We are
just a transit point.
So you say, so Nigeria wants to transit, they want to transit terrorists through Nigeria too. That's a bigger problem for the UK, if that's true. Now that also has diplomatic ramifications for Nigeria. I also agree. But the response from government is rather hasty.
It's like hitting an ant with a sledgehammer, is it?
Well, you should, because when you look at probability and impact, when you do your assessment properly, it can go anyway. Okay. So, but what I find questionable is why you go and why do you put an AIG, an Assistant Inspector General of Police? You take that level of senior officer. It's taking the police how many years to train him, go through the ranks, and you get an AIG based on a quota system. You get to AIG position based on a quota system. There are not very many AIGs in the Nigerian police. Okay. You take that level of senior officer and you put him at the international airport, he's doing nothing. Put a DCP there. A smart DCP who knows what to do. The AIG probably wouldn't have much to do. He will sit in his office, send his boys. At the end of the day, he's not doing too much. But you can say you have his presence there, you have a senior person who may be able to call up for response, if response has to be. There may be some justification, but I maintain again that report is not our greatest problem. We should not be hoodwinked or deceived into the real issues. Countless numbers of Nigerians die every day on the road. We have become quite insensitive to civilian deaths. Road traffic accident remains our greatest source of risk in this country. The number of people that die on our roads on a daily basis is far more than what goes on in the hinterlands, where you have the herdsmen and the farmers.
So we should refocus?
No, we should get our priorities right, and people should stop making so much noise to deceive us and take us away from the real issues.
Okay.
There are more germane issues. Armed robbery is on the increase. You did hear the report you heard the speech of the Vice President.
Yes.
When he was talking about the other ancillary issues that will prop up insecurity in the state, issues of unemployment.
He talks about social security, yes, which is very critical here.
Absolutely.
Security has different dimensions, and social security is something that, this government has not been strong on talking about.
I agree that social security is very important. Do you know that the people who join Boko Haram are paid? They don't join it. They are gainfully employed.
They are gainfully employed?
They are employed. They pay them every month. They have a house, they have women, they have enough incentive. They have what the government is not providing them. That whole route, that trans-Saharan Sahel route, they tax people. They even tax the NGOs who come to operate in Nigeria. Everybody's paying tax to them. So there's money. It's the world economy we're talking about. The president, the CNC, must clamp down very hard on that economy that is starting to bubble up. Let me give you an example.
And making it attractive for people to go into.
Oh, yes. Let me give you an example. If somebody just sits down and says, okay, foment trouble here, foment trouble here, foment trouble there, 3 places simultaneously, let's have a bank. And they do have that bank. They come back and report to the CEC and say there's trouble in the town and we need to spend this, we need to do this approach. What's going to happen? The president wants response, and he wants that issue nipped in the bud. Money is going to be released. So, you see, we have certain reports that are coming here and there of the fact that some of these monies that have been allotted are grossly misappropriated.
So are some people deliberately funding all of this, fueling this crisis?
Well,
allegedly.
We cannot make that allegation. But we're saying, if you read properly between the lines, there is an economy developing. In the northeast now, in Maiduguri to be specific, some NGOs are paying rent for 15 years. 15 years. Meaning that they will be there for 15 years. There will be trouble foreseeable for 15 years.
How are they sure about that?
Oh, they have to prepare. They have to prepare. Now, you can't even get most hotels fully booked. You can't get apartments to let. You call it a war zone. Yet it's so attractive, and there's money that is exchanging hands. I don't want to digress from the real issues. Armed robbery is on the increase because of economic pressures. 2019 is just around the corner. We have seen some level of assassinations in the state. We have seen that criminal cult groups are beginning to raise their heads in the south coming up. We know for a fact that the Delta Ondo axis, the Nigeria axis, has been overrun to an extent by the headers. We know for a fact that food security is being threatened in this country. For a fact. Because if the farmers cannot go to the farm, where do we get the food from?
And the posturing, or should I call it the sort of conspiracy of silence,
yes,
from parts of the country that haven't really felt the impact of this yet. I think it's also a contributory factor, the fact that we look the other way.
I will ask you, which part of the country is not feeling the impact? Even in my home state, Ogun State, there are issues in the farms. In Ibadan, there are issues in the farm. I was on set one day, I told you, they overrun the farm of one of the farmers in Oyo, and one of the DPOs called for a settlement. And the header said he's not going to pay more than 30,000 naira. And they destroyed crops worth almost 15 million. And the header says he can't pay more than 30,000. Who's not feeling the impact? There are reports of skirmishes in the Delta, Ebonyi, Enugu, Abia State, Owerri, Benue, Taraba, Kogi, even in Kaduna. When you hear a sitting governor says he resigns as CSO,
that's a huge statement.
So is it because of the 2019 election, which is staring us in the face, Or is it because we have we have misplaced priorities?
I would think that it is because of the way we play our politics in Nigeria. You will find that on the eve of an election, of every election, national election, you will find an uptick in violence. Okay? And the last time we did talk about
an upsurge.
Yes, an upsurge in violence. You will find that. And the closer you get to the elections. Now, Nigeria doesn't have enough resources to police the expanse of land that we have to cover. What you then find is, for example, the APC convention, the police that has about 300,000 people deployed 5,000 to Abuja. You take out 5,000 from the mix. Senator Misao is claiming that over 150,000 policemen have been assigned to private enterprise. You take out 5,000 for the APC election, you have 155,000. When you then have national elections, you will find that you don't have enough police. So you don't even have enough military.
With the police force that's barely about 400,000 in number or thereabout.
Now I'm coming on. The real issue is not even the election. It's the attention span of those. Everything shifts to politics. You don't create loopholes. Some of these criminal gangs, they need them to win elections.
The politicians need them.
Yes, so sometimes they cause the police to turn another eye. They just let them be. You find the boys are being made happy. These things are going on. They want to use them. After elections, everything's wiped out.
Status quo, and then you have to deal with the proliferation of weapons. The fallout
of the proliferation of weapons. I read a report that said to Abaribe is being held by the DSS, not only for his standing shorty for IPOP leader, but there are claims that he's been weaponizing some youths. You have 578 billion added to the national budget. You have a budget of 9-point-something trillion. It's just recently been assented to by the president in June. You have another 6 months to go to spend 9-point-something trillion.
That's a huge.
On the eve of an election. Just begin to do the maths. So there will be money in circulation. Thankfully, APC, at least at the service level, seem to have resolved their internal wranglings, and that may have saved us some lives. It's no joke.
National.
At the
not
national
at the
level,
states.
Not at the state level. At least in some states like Enugu, some states like Delta, some states like Imo, even Lagos here.
We're
hearing some
It's sad that we can't talk about security without getting politics involved in this.
Absolutely, in Nigeria, you cannot.
That makes it very sad, because security should have been, something or a different sector.
Yes.
But when politics has come into it, that creates a different
Absolutely.
ball game.
Absolutely.
And the question I'm asking now, I ask all the time, is now, what is the value of a Nigerian life right now? The value of, is it now numbers we're seeing now, not human beings any longer? Because right now you see the pages of newspapers, 100 here, 50 here, 60 here. I think our senses have been numbed to a point where Nigerians really, emotions have been, seared with a hot iron, if I can put it that way.
Yes. Now, the unfortunate thing is that when we look at security, rightfully or wrongfully, depends on how you look at it, we look at it at a nationalistic level. We need to break security down into smaller groups, some smaller segments. Look at security at the local government level. What's happening there? Who are the people affected? Who's responsible? The local government chairman is responsible for safety and security in that area.
In that area, okay, from that perspective.
From that perspective, who is the man you hold responsible? Hold him responsible. People should not spare their local government chairman, because sometimes it's all politics also. If he cannot address the issues of security within his local government, he should cry for help.
Okay, we don't seem to have too much of a time.
Yes.
My last question will be this.
Yes.
Now that we don't have anybody to hold responsible in Zamfara State.
Yes.
The governor has resigned as the CSO.
Yes.
What happens to Zamfara State?
What does that mean?
The governor should also resign as the chief executive of the state, because that responsibility cannot be abdicated. It's just a political statement. I mean, it's just he's protesting. The Minister of Defense has told him that he's a joker. So at least they had a good go at each other.
What's the impact? What would be the impact in that state?
He's just trying to re-emphasize again the need to return full executive powers to the governors of the state. Until we get to that point, these issues, if I'm the governor of Lagos State and I have my own state police, my priorities will be my priorities. There will be where we'll meet at the federal level, and we'll run on within the ambit of the law. I will use and deploy my resources to the benefit of my people. Because I'm the one on ground, I know the issues. We're going to have to come back to the issue of state policing. And Nigerians must make that a critical issue to determine who they vote for in these 2019 elections. Because that's part of the way to go forward.
And talking about security, as we said earlier, I think the Vice President in that meeting of ministers of defense did talk about the issue of dealing with the core results, the things that feed the insecurity, the lack of food, clothing, shelter, social security, education. You find out that the thuggery and all this is all a fallout of a poor educational system.
And unemployment also.
And unemployment. Yeah. All right, Onyekachi, I need to thank you for joining us on the show. Yes,
we could talk for 24 hours.
We could talk this all day and would never stop. The bottom line is lives here are at stake. Nigerian lives mean a lot. They're not just numbers, and all hands have to be on deck, and everyone is not exempted. Religious bodies are not exempted. The private sector is not exempted. Every Nigerian is responsible. We must arise and begin to demand. Okay?
Yeah, sorry to even add. Yeah. And the emphasis should not just be on only ISIS alone.
ISIS alone.
No, we should stop that fear-mongering.
Exactly.
We have bigger fishes to fry.
Bigger fishes. So ISIS should not be the only, occupation. It should not be the only concern that we have. The internal security is very critical, and we've seen that really being a serious challenge. So I will leave it at this, and certainly we do get some of your reactions.